Charles is a 50 years old man with 3 children, and he lives in Europe with his wife. He grew up in the typical Korean authoritarian family. He has a trauma as a young child, getting beaten by his drunken father. He was a smart, sociable person and a student, and he quickly got a job after he graduated and got married right after it. Unlike his father, he was very devoted and has a big love towards his family. To other people, Charles seems like a passionate, cheerful, and humorful person that loves his family and has a happy life, but people close to him knows that Charles is going through some kind of phase in his life. He continuously talks about the life and death, and he feels helpless and all the things seems meaningless to him. He lets out his aggression by putting on more weight, smoking, and living unhealthy life. Charles has problem controlling his appetite, and he lets out his emotions in negative way, such as saying aggressive words and doing aggressive actions. And employees that are working with him also finds troubles working with him because of his actions and mean words. He became impatient and untidy and unclean. During the times Charles has left the work and started working with his wife, they had lots of conflicts on the way how Charles deals with his interpersonal and business situations. He usually escapes from the conflicts by sleeping, smoking, or watching movies. According to Freud, Charles is fixed in 3 psychosexual stages: anal, oral, and phallic stage. The core problem, which is uncontrolled appetite and a continuous conflict with his wife, could be explained by oral fixation. People who are usually fixed at this stage expresses oral satisfaction by smoking, eating, and drinking. They also get overly attached and overly dependent on other adults, which explains why Charles is overly attached and he only depends on his wife. Second is anal fixation. His uncleanness and untidiness is explained by anal fixation, which is explained by when a person as a child has a traumatic experience during a toilet training. In case of Charles, during toilet training, his anal pleasure might not have been satisfied, or it might have been overly satisfied. The last stage that Charles is fixed is phallic stage. In this stage, boys go through Oedipus complex. They desire to be like their father, and superego is also developed in this stage, and Charles has developed very strong superego. Perhaps he grew under the strict and powerful father, although he did not want to be like his father. Charles uses 2 kinds of defense mechanism to cope with his situations. Throughout his problems, Charles is emotionally and physically too dependent on his wife. When situations that happen that are against his superego or against his actions are real, he tends to avoid the situation and takes it over to his wife. He often withdraws himself from stressful situations he cannot handle. Another significant defense mechanism that Charles is using is denial. Charles himself knows the seriousness of his health, and which brings anxiety in him that makes him talk about death frequently. Despite all the warnings from doctors, he does not stop eating and smoking and keeps denying about his serious health condition, and thinks he's still fine and thinks that he's still doing okay. Freud stated this self-destructive behavior that Charles is showing as thanatos, which means the death instinct. This instinct is driving Charles to have aggressive and denial behavior toward his situations. The 2 defense mechanisms that Charles is using is considered ineffective by the Freudian theorist. Rather, he is suggested to see another psychoanalytic therapy that could replace his aggressive defense mechanism to something like sublimation. Sublimation will help Charles to express his aggressive and mean impulses into socially acceptable ones. Psychoanalytic therapy could also help Charles to be released by his fixed stages of oral, anal, and phallic stage. Thank you for listening.